Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's video, I'd like to look at an absolutely amazing trade we had on the NQ yesterday as the market declined before the Fed announcement. You can just see here, this is where the Fed made their announcement at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You can see that the markets can go very whipsaw in very fast movements when the Fed does their announcement. That's why it's always a good policy to be out of the market before the Fed makes an announcement, because you don't want to be caught in this. It's also a very good example of the cyclical nature of trading, because the last couple of days for MTPredictor in the US markets has been quite hard, and yesterday the day before we had a couple of losing trades. But the beauty of MTPredictor is the losses are kept small. So I'll show you these on the ES. If I go to the ES chart and I scroll back to the previous day, we had a couple of valid sell setups here that were at 15-minute resistance. I'm not going to go into detail on this webinar, but I just wanted to point out that we do have losing trades, but the trick is the losses are kept small, so when you have good days like yesterday, then that more than makes up for it. So I want to show you what we're doing yesterday, and I was looking at this. I was doing actually two live trading webinars yesterday, so we had a look at this particular trade unfolding actually in real time yesterday in one of the webinars, which is really good. So I want to go back to before yesterday even started, and there you go. I've rolled this chart back to before yesterday even opened, and I want to show you the level I had on our charts as a resistance zone. You see the market was rallying up here, but what I did was I used the last swing into the pivot low. There's the last major low, there's the last swing into the low. This is a 15-minute chart. We go to the higher time frame chart for our larger degree support and resistances to basically use our multi-time frame analysis. In other words, we're setting our support and resistance areas on the higher time frame. So for this, I use this prior pivot high here, right mouse click, place the DP on. And there you can see it's on the chart in advance before yesterday even began. Remember, on this higher time frame chart, we're not using these setups to trade, we're only using them for the larger degree support and resistance. In this example, here's our DP. So can you see it was on the chart, on our 15-minute chart, in advance before the market even opened. As the market opened, can you see how the market then came up? It then came up into this level and actually gave us an automatic DP sell at that DP resistance area at, what's the time of that? At it's 11:15, I think. 11:15, is that right? 11:15. But the point being is this resistance area was on the chart in advance before the market even got up there. Let's go down to the 2-minute chart now. And I want to scroll back to just before the day began. There's the day beginning. Market opens, comes up, and goes into our level. Do you see how this level was actually on our chart there, ready for us? It's on our 2-minute chart. No particular MTPredictor setup yet. Market comes down. We then had a TS3 buy setup, and of course this would be avoided because this was a resistance area. The market is now coming down off a higher time frame resistance area, therefore the larger trend was down, therefore you'd be avoiding these buy setups. We, for more experienced users, we ignore our STF color on this and we go on our higher time frame DPs. We do this because these are leading indicators and give us much better areas of support and resistance and trend indication. But what I thought was really interesting was as the market came on here a bit further, and I'm just scrolling forward, can you see how at 11:02 we actually had an automatic DP sell setup arrive. But the most important thing about this was that this DP sell setup was in the higher time frame resistance area. In other words, you had a short-term sell signal in a higher time frame resistance zone. So in other words, this was a good trade to take. Let's right mouse click, place the analysis on. At the first minor target, it was actually a good potential trade for a profit of 2.3R. However, if we go back to the 15-minute chart, and this is what I did in the webinar, there we go, that would have been our point there where our 2-minute chart came in. You go back to the prior pivot low, which was here, you right mouse click, place the DP on. Can you see that's on the chart in advance? So this is your higher time frame support zone on the chart in advance. Let's go back to our 2-minute chart and see how this would have looked. Again, I'll scroll forward to when you actually came into the trade. There we go. There's the trade there. as the market starts to decline down, we actually reached the first target. Now what I was suggesting in the webinar was you should, rather than come out at the first minor target, because the market was looking very weak here, you should actually drag this and come down to the lower support zone where the profit was almost 8R. Well, it was 8R there. I'm just going to bring that a tick up off that level to the same level I had in our training webinar, which was actually 7.9R, which was there. There we go. But can you see how basically I've done the found the initial sell signal at higher time frame resistance and then used the target for the next higher time frame support zone. Let's scroll forward, and this is what was happening live during our training webinar yesterday, and there we go, the market reached that first level there for a very nice profit of plus 7.9R. That's a perfect example of the cyclical nature of trading. Where I started this video was explaining that we had a couple of losing trades and a couple of hard days before this, but the two losing trades were at -1R each, so losses are -1, -1, and then suddenly your next profit comes in at plus 7.9, or can I call it plus 8R for easy maths. And that's the beauty of MTPredictor, in that when the losses come in, the losses are kept small, but when the profits come in, the profits are large, much larger, and that's the key to successful trading and the key to moving your account balance forward, by having setups where the profits are large. So I thought this was a really good example to show, because we were looking at it in a live webinar yesterday, and that was the result. Now yes, the market did carry on a bit lower, and technically because the STF had gone beyond its strength band, you could have actually decided to use the ATR stop and come down here, and possibly got stopped out there for 9.7R, but that's basically seeing what happened in hindsight. I want to use the level that I was looking at in the training webinar at the time and say, well, we came out at this support zone here for 7.9R. Also bearing in mind that the Fed were doing their announcement a bit later, so the likelihood at this particular time was the market was going to go sideways, drift sideways just before the Fed did the announcement, and obviously when the Fed did the announcement, that's when the market would go choppy and you want to be out. So at the time, the most sensible point, sort of decision at this point was to say thank you very much and bank a nice profit of 7.9R. So a very good trade there yesterday, where the first or the main point to note was how we had our 15-minute resistance on our chart in advance. That basically prepared you for a level where the market was likely to make a reversal. We then had a shorter term sell setup in that resistance area that then set the trade. The trade then went down to the next larger degree support zone, where a profit of 7.9R profit was available. So a very good trade yesterday, and all basically set up by the tools in our MTPredictor software. These are actually our MTP RT add-ons for NinjaTrader 7, and they give the same analysis capabilities as our standalone software. So good example of our MTPredictor tools uncovering a very, very nice short sell setup on the NASDAQ yesterday.